Welcome to episode 10 of Plants and Light. It's time to bring it all together and talk about how to pick a grow light. Not all grow lights are used to power growth. Some of them are used for other applications, like controlling photo period. In episode 2, we looked at red lights to interrupt the night cycle of short day plants. In episode 7, we talked about using far red light at the end of day to speed up photoperiodic responses. And then there's other applications, like work lights. When a grow light is used as a supplemental source in a greenhouse, the light quality or the specific color of light coming off the lights is a little less important than indoors. In a greenhouse, this light is just supplementing the natural light, so it's not providing all of the light. But in a grow tent or indoors, this light is the sole source of light, and the color coming off this light is really important because it's the only color of light these plants see. If you are growing in a multi-level system or like a vertical farm, you want to pick a light that can be placed close to your crop. That can include T5 fluorescents or LED bars. And then if you're in a house or in a grow tent and you have a few feet of clearance, like here, you want to pick a light that's suited for that. And that could be a ceramic metal halide or a lower wattage high pressure sodium or even a T5 light, or there's a lot of LED options that are suited for this. And then if you're in a greenhouse and you have a lot of clearance, or if you're in a warehouse with really tall ceilings, then you can pick really powerful lights like these 1,000-watt high pressure sodiums. With high-powered lights like this that are placed high above the crop, there's different reflectors to direct the light. Right now I have an open hood, and that allows a lot of the light to go to the sides, which is nice for getting overlaying light that helps get light deep into the canopy from multiple angles. But there's enclosed hoods, which direct the light more downward, concentrate the light a little bit more. And then there's super deep hoods, which concentrate the light even more. Also under the umbrella of location is heat, and how much heat can your location handle. You don't want to pick grow lights that are going to produce a lot of heat if your cooling system can't handle that, and maybe you want to look at a low heat light or something that's really efficient, like an LED option. And then there's the power supply. Some lights run on traditional wall outlets of 120 volts. Some run on 3-phase, which could be 208 or 240 or 277 or 480. So you want to make sure you're picking the right light for the right voltage. And a lot of growers prefer to run their lights on higher voltage, so that's the 208 or 240, 277, 480, because they pull less amps. And this can allow growers to run more lights before maxing out the amperage on their breakers. And when you are picking lights, you don't want to pick more lights than your breakers can handle. You don't want to go past 80% of their capacity. So a 20 amp breaker, you shouldn't be pulling more than 16 amps. And then there's picking a grow light by crop. And that's going to be looking at how is the crop spread? Do you need to penetrate through a deep canopy? And what intensity of light does that crop require? For microgreens, for example, those have the lowest light demands, and you only need a light capable of delivering 7 moles per meter squared per day for its DLI. And then you step up to the next level, which is going to be leafy greens, which could be basil, all the herbs, lettuce, and they're going to require anywhere from 12 to 25 moles per meter squared per day for their DLI. And then there's flowering crops, which have the highest light demand, like this pepper. Its target DLI is anywhere from 15 at the very low end, which probably wouldn't be happy, up to about 30, 35 and higher, With flowering crops, you want to pick a light that can penetrate through the canopy. And a really good option is having multiple lights, because that creates multiple angles for the light to come in, so the light can reach the inner parts of the canopy. Then there's picking a grow light by crop stage. And we'll use a flowering crop as an example here. Let's say it starts as a cutting, like we have here, and at this stage it would require very little light. Or maybe it starts as a seedling and requires a little bit more light. Then you move it to the next stage, it's vegetative growth, and that's going to require more light, like here. And a lot of times growers during this stage like to pick a light that has a lot of blue in its spectrum, and that helps create compact growth. And after that, they might move their crop to a high pressure sodium light or a high power LED, something capable of providing a lot of energy to power a flowering crop. And then some growers might introduce UV at the later stages. This could be changing lights to a ceramic metal halide or metal halide, or mixing the light using high pressure sodium and ceramic metal halide, or introducing UVB fixtures. There's a lot of ways to change the lights through crop stage. Then there's picking a grow light to influence plant morphology. That could be getting longer growth on your mother plants so it's easier to take cuttings. And that could be achieved by adding far red light, like I have over here, and these plants are much taller than over here. And this is also used for cut flowers. A lot of times growers like to have a really long stem on their cut flowers. Or you could pick a grow light that's gonna lead your plants to have a shorter, more compact morphology, like tuning a light to have more blue so you get tighter growth. Or you could affect the leaf texture. You can get thicker, crunchier leaves with a little bit more blue in the spectrum versus a spectrum that's more red, which will give you larger leaves but softer, sort of buttery soft leaves. Then there's picking a grow light to improve the marketability of the crop. This is sometimes called the bag appeal. How nice does the crop look when packaged? And this can be greatly affected by pigmentation, the color of your crop. Does it have the red color that it should? Does it have the purple colors that it should? And this can be affected by a lot of things like temperature and sometimes nutrients, but lighting is definitely a big factor. Adding a little bit of blue or UVA to your spectrum can help you get a lot more pigmentation. Then there's the flavor and smell of the crop. And like we saw in episode 3, those can be altered by using UVB. And then there's budget. Some lights cost more up front, but they cost less to operate, like LEDs, where some lights cost less up front, but they cost more to operate, like high pressure sodium. The decision really is going to depend on how much does power cost around you, and is this even the main factor? Are you really looking at light quality as your prime goal, or is, intensity your prime goal? So you're really factoring a lot, but with budget, you usually need to balance the upfront costs versus the operating costs, where this one might have a higher upfront cost, this one might have a higher operating cost. You're now armed with some horticultural lighting knowledge. You know the 3 fundamentals. And if you're thinking about those as you're choosing a grow light, thinking, is this gonna help me with photo period? Is this gonna help me with plant morphology? Am I getting the right light quality to steer it into the growth I want? Am I getting the right light intensity from this lighting option? Once you can sort of pull all of these fundamentals together, it's really gonna help you navigate the horticultural lighting world. Thank you so much for sticking around to this point. If you're still watching, you definitely deserve a thank you. Check out my website, farmertyler.com. Join the mailing list and you'll get sent exclusive content. I actually haven't figured out how to use my mailing list yet, but eventually you're gonna get sent exclusive content. I also post a lot on my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and a lot of times I'm posting content there before it makes it to YouTube, and some of it never even makes it to YouTube. Exclusives. I'm Farmer Tyler. This has been Plants and Light, and now you know, so go grow.
This final episode, along with all of the other episodes, were made possible with support from Hydrofarm. In this episode, we saw the VGS Grow Rack, the AgroBright Desktop Plant Light, the Autopilot PX1, the Solar System 550, the Solar System 1100, and the entire solar system. The Active Aqua stands and light hangers and legs and flood tables. There was a lot in this episode, and we thank you for hanging around for this entire series. You are what makes me get up and say, I want to grow a plant today, because you are watching.